Alrighty, welcome back everyone. We just talked about the games going on this weekend. Alabama, Oklahoma, Miami, Texas A&M, Tulane, Ole Miss, and JMU, Oregon. I will take the two major favorites in Oregon and Ole Miss. I'm going to take A&M to get one at home, and I'm going to take Alabama to get a big-time win on the road and move on to an Indiana team that'll be fascinating to watch up against them. But let's get into the bowl games that have gone on thus far. Let's get into the FCS playoffs that have happened thus far and the ones happening this weekend, because if you're not giving love to the FCS, you're not covering college football the right way as far as I'm concerned at the very least. But let's start with the bowl games that have already happened here. Salute to Veterans Bowl. Jacksonville State gets a big-time win, 17-13 over Troy. This is a really, really fun game, and it was a very interesting one because I don't know how many people have gotten a chance to watch DeAndre Johnson this year. Incredible football player. 6'8", 6 catches, 101 yards in this football game. It was his show. And then the Troy offense kind of got manhandled. They got a pick six early on in this football game, or a fumble, scoop and score. Can't quite remember. Apologies for that. But they only scored 6 total points offensively, had 2 INTs. It was a little all over the place, but Charles Kelly has done an incredible job over there at Jacksonville State, taking over for Rich Rod. Troy, I think, has a very, very bright future ahead of them, but this is a big-time win for that program that I think could be building something pretty special down there. Old Dominion gets a 24-10 win over USF. Pretty far fall for USF in the back half of this season. When you lose your coach and you lose your quarterback, that tends to happen. And it was Gaston Moore for USF. It was Quinn Heineckel for Old Dominion. 2 backup quarterbacks. Colton Joseph found his way into the portal from Old Dominion. Obviously, Byron Brown, an interesting name to watch as we move forward, whether it's the draft or to Auburn or somewhere else for the rest of his football career. But Quinn Heineckel took over this game late, especially with his legs. Got a little bit lit up late in this football game and somehow came back into it. Don't know if that was the best idea, but at the end of the day, the Old Dominion defense was really the show. They forced so many turnovers in this game, was all over the place, played incredible football, and Ricky Ron and the Monarchs make an incredible season. 10 wins for them. They go on to what's probably going to be a pretty dangerous team going into next year, even without Colton Joseph, and we'll have to watch what Colton Joseph does going forward. But an incredible season for Old Dominion that comes to a pretty incredible end over a big-time win over a USF team. Delaware gets a 20-13 win over Louisiana in the Ventures Bowl. This was kind of an interesting one. Louisiana's put together a really good season, and they had a very, very good rushing attack coming into this football game. It was kind of just Lunch Winfield out there, and yes, his first name is Lunch, as crazy as that sounds, but he fought in this football game. It looked like he had multiple injuries late in this game, and he found a way to keep fighting. It just wasn't quite enough. Delaware was +3 in the turnover battle. It was 3-0 in that category, and Ryan Carty and the Blue Hens get a big-time win here, finish off a very nice season for that football team, and they move forward with a very interesting future. Probably not doing any playoff hunting here pretty soon, but definitely a team that you could see in the postseason pretty consistently moving forward. Missouri State, Arkansas State, the one coming up on actually tonight at 9 p.m. Really fun matchup. Ryan Beard has left Missouri State for Coastal Carolina, but the Bears have a massive chance to get their first bowl game win ever. They find their way up from the FCS and have really put together a great program at the FBS level. Special moment for this program for these players. Problem is Jalen Raynor's on the other side, and I think that guy's an absolute difference maker. Hasn't been the best passer in the world throughout his career, but when he gets out into open space, he is dangerous as can be, and he's very, very smart. In these types of moments, if you're making me pick someone on a neutral field, I'm going to lean towards Jalen Raynor's direction a number of times. I'll take the Red Wolves to win the first Xbox Bowl ever, for whatever that means to you. Arkansas State finds a way to win that one and caps a very, very nice season for that team. Kennesaw State versus Western Michigan, two of my favorite stories in college football, particularly Kennesaw State. You fire Jerry Bohannon after your first year in the FBS. A lot of people, including myself, question the move, and Jerry Mack comes in and does an incredible job. There's an argument to be made that he's National Coach of the Year. He's done an incredible job with this football team. And Lance Taylor just putting together a rock-solid program up there at Western Michigan. Both teams very explosive on offense. WMU loves to lean on Brock Lowry's legs. Very, very dynamic quarterback, over 1,000 yards rushing this year. I'm going to lean towards him and Western Michigan in this one. I think KSU's done an incredible job this year. I think Western Michigan might be a little bit more battle tested, might be a little bit more comfortable with these two teams and their approaches. I think Brock Lowry finds a way to put on a show in this one, and they find a way to win this one. I think their defense is able to match up a little bit better with Kennesaw State than vice versa there. Memphis at NC State, the game that will lead us into the playoff, is a really, really fun one. Between two teams, Memphis has lost their coach, but both teams have their quarterbacks, and that's really all I need. If you're telling me Brendan Lewis and CJ Bailey are facing off, that's appointment television, as far as I'm concerned. Two very, very incredible guys to watch, and two teams that haven't quite had the season that they expected. I think Memphis came in with playoff aspirations, rightfully so. NC State looked at a wide open ACC and said, who says CJ Bailey can't put together a great season and do something special this year? They both kind of fallen back down to earth just a little bit, but they got a really fun game tomorrow. And if you're telling me Hollywood Smothers is going to be on the field, which it seems like he is going to be, all this is relatively up in the air, as it often is in the bowl times, but I think NC State finds a way to win this football game. I think Hollywood Smothers is just a massive difference maker that is not nearly talked about enough on the national stage, but I'll take NC State to win that one and send us into the playoffs for the weekend. And that includes the FCS playoffs, and we're kind of jumping in late here. So apologies to the FCS fans out there. We got the semifinals coming up this weekend. We got to go over what has happened thus far. North Dakota State was minus money coming into this playoff to win it, a 32-team playoff. They were minus money to win it. It's crazy. I understand that. They were upset by Illinois State in the second round. A crazy, crazy game, 29-28. Incredible, incredible matchup. And Illinois State, kind of the story of this tournament. Illinois State came into this one 8-4, wasn't even a seed in this playoff. And they'll meet Villanova on Saturday night. Going to be an incredible, incredible matchup, an incredible year for that team. And no Dakota teams left in the field. If you followed FCS playoffs at all, you understand how big of a deal that is. South Dakota State has been incredible. South Dakota's put together a very nice couple of years. North Dakota was a good team this year. And then obviously, North Dakota State has been the cream of the crop for a long time over there in FCS football, but none of them left in the field thus far. And Villanova also on a special run as well. The 12th seed coming into this thing, they find their way to the Final Four. So we got two Cinderellas facing off on Saturday night. If that Oregon game gets a little bit blowout, I think you're going to have a really, really fun one over there for Villanova and Illinois State. But let's start with the Battle of Montana, the one that went a little bit chalk on that side of the bracket. The number 3 seed Montana at the number 2 seed Montana State. A special rivalry matchup with a shot to go to the national championship. Montana State favored by 4 in this game. It was 31-28 earlier in this season when they battled in Missoula over there for Montana. This one's in Bozeman, and Justin Lamson has done an incredible job with this offense. The Bobcats are rolling right now, and they got a really, really good team. They're going up against a really good running back. They're going up against an Eli Gilman, 1,400 yards, 20 touchdowns on the ground this year. There's special players all over the place in this football game, and I think you're going to realize just how high level some of these FCS teams are if you were to watch this game, which I highly, highly recommend. I'll take Montana State to win this one, 31-27. I think it's a fun battle. I think they go back and forth pretty good. And I tend to believe this is probably the team that you see lifting that trophy in a couple of weeks. But at the end of the day, really fun matchup, a battle for Montana. I think Montana State wins another one and they find their way to the national title. And then the Battle of Cinderellas. Illinois State at number 12, Villanova. Villanova favored by 1.5 in this game, over under at 52.5. It is going to be Saturday night. This is special. This is one of those things that a lot of people will point to and they'll say, this could happen in the FBS. Probably can't happen in the FBS, but has been an incredible season for these two teams. An 8-4 team coming into the playoffs finds a way to beat one of the more dominant teams in recent memory in the FCS, and they get a chance to play for possibly a national title on January 5th. Pat McQuaid's done an incredible job over there at Villanova, and then on the defensive side for Illinois State, Ty Niekamp, been one of the best linebackers in the entire country. It's going to be really, really fun to watch this one unfold. I'm going to take Illinois State. I'll go out on a limb. I'll say this team is going to walk in, get another big-time upset on the road. They win 27-23, and they get a shot at a national title after going 8-4 in the season. crazy, crazy world down there in the FCS, but it is possible in a lot of different ways over there. An incredible two teams, and they found a way to give themselves a chance at a championship, and that's really all you can ask for at a time like now. But incredible games this upcoming weekend, both in the bowl game world. I understand. We'll talk about that more. I have a pretty impassioned rant sometime next week to talk about the bowl season and why I still believe it very much matters. And then we got the FCS playoffs. If those playoff games in the FBS get a little bit boring, a little bit blowouty early, you can find your way over to these games, and I promise you, you're going to find some wars that might shock you how high level some of this football is. But we'll get into that as they unfold. We will break down those games on Monday as well. Of course, we got to make sure we know what's going on January 5th for the FCS title. But let's take another break here. When we come back, we got a lot to wrap up for this week. The Ohio coach, Brian Smith, has been fired for cause. We'll talk about that briefly. The Joel Klatt quote didn't sit right with me in a lot of ways, and we'll talk about the ACC scheduling before we get to some best bets before we get out of here for the weekend. Stick right with us, and we'll be right back with that.